Author, audience, and purpose. When you begin reading a text, your mind must go to work immediately trying to determine who wrote the text, who the text is for, and why the piece was written. This information can change how you interpret the text. When you do this, you're thinking about the most basic elements of a reading: author, audience, and purpose. Author. The person who wrote the text. It is important to understand the author of a text as it will change how you interpret the text. For example, if you're looking for information about a medical condition, a friend may give you some good advice. But if it contradicts the advice you get from a well-regarded medical professional, you might want to consider disregarding the information from your friend. The author information is found in a number of places. It is most commonly found at the front of a book and at the beginning or end of an article. In an academic essay, it is often in the header and on the title page. In pieces published by institutions, organizations, or corporations, there may not be an individual author. Instead, you can consider the institution to be the author. Audience. Who the writer expects to read the text. Realize that you may not be the primary audience for this text, as the audience for the text is not always the same as the person or people who are reading it, because writers cannot always control who reads their work. However, when a writer composes a reading, he or she does so with a specific type of reader in mind. When the reader knows who the audience is, he or she can use specific language, details, and examples to speak directly to that audience. If you're not the intended audience, it may be more difficult for you to comprehend the piece. You can determine the audience by identifying where the reading is located. For example, an article in 17 magazine is intended for teenage girls, while an article in the Journal of Developmental Education is intended for faculty and administrators of college-level developmental education programs, all of whom have college educations and many of whom who have advanced degrees. Purpose. Why the writer chose this topic. Every writer has a reason or purpose for writing about a topic. You can determine the purpose of a passage by asking yourself, why is the writer telling me about this? Or, what does the writer want me to know or do after reading this? A writer's primary purpose often falls into one of three categories: persuade, inform, or entertain. Persuade. In a persuasive piece, authors try to convince the reader that their ideas or arguments have merit. Persuasive writing is debatable. The author wants to prove that something should or must, or should not or must not be done. The opinion section of the newspaper is a good example of persuasive writing. Inform. In informational writing, writers are focused on the facts. There is no bias in this type of writing. Encyclopedias are one kind of informative writing. Entertain. Entertaining writing is created to amuse or interest the reader. Entertaining pieces are not always light and silly, but they also include pieces that are very sad or exciting. Novels and short stories are both types of entertaining writing. Because writers often incorporate multiple purposes in one piece of writing, it is important to focus your attention on the author's primary purpose. For example, a writer will frequently include information in a persuasive piece or try to make an informative piece entertaining for their readers.